welcome to the TTG podcast. This is going to be our Meridian special edition. We're going to touch on a few things about Meridian here, what you can expect, some of the things that are happening, and we're going to get into a couple more things about the entire season. We've got some ideas and some things coming up that we're pretty excited about. So let's start out with Meridian.
Nice shirt change, bud.
I like that.
Same day.
So what I did is I changed shirts and hats.
And Nick did it was like, well, yeah. Anyway, all right. So
I'm gonna tell everybody we did this podcast a week later, and you guys are still wearing the same clothes.
Hey, we don't change clothing. Meridian. I think one thing we'll talk about up front on Meridian.
Let's start with what you need for Meridian.
Yeah,
that's specific.
Yeah,
that's
where I was going with it.
All right, yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
You need a headlamp. I would suggest bringing like knee pads and elbow pads. They're just suggested; they're not required. But a headlamp is required.
Bring knee pads anytime. They don't have to be like super expensive. And if you don't have them, somebody else can.
Even if you have like your pull-up knee sleeves for CrossFit, those are better than nothing.
Yeah, that'll work too. There's a covert that you crawl through that if you're over 5'5", you're going to be dragging your knees the whole time. And I think I just did it in like a thin, long sleeve shirt the last time I competed there. It was 2020.
Mm-hmm. You didn't compete last year, though.
Yeah, no, I didn't compete last year. So long, like thin sleeves are fine, but I would suggest like covering your arms because you're going to be crawling on concrete and a concrete covert for longer than you want to. And yeah, it just saves like scuffing your arms up and stuff. But knee pads, it's not a necessity. Like if you don't have them, don't freak out about it. But it's definitely, I you know how I am, like I wear shorts everywhere and I put on pants and wear knee pads to go into those tunnels.
It will make it a lot more comfortable of an experience for you if you wear knee pads and a long sleeve shirt.
The rest of your weekend will be more comfortable.
Yeah. And normally in that tunnel on day one.
Right.
So the rest of the weekend, you're going to be having scraped up knees. If you don't have knee pads, you're going to scrape your knees up. We'll just put it that way.
Yep.
But there are going to be a lot of people out there that will definitely let you borrow knee pads. I'll probably have a set or two with me. Like there's going to be stuff you can borrow. Don't be like bashful and just like scrape your knees up because you don't want to talk to somebody. Ask somebody. I'll try and have, not guaranteed, but I'll try and have like a pair or two up there in case you don't have them. Light, you're going to need a light.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be like an 8 million lumen, whatever, like the $15 deal from Walmart is fine. Your cell phone light is fine. Don't go spend $300 because you think it's going to give you an advantage. You literally just need for 3 or 4 minutes, you just need to see what's 5 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's not like you could see further than that anyways in most of those instances where a 8,000 lumen light would help you. It's literally you can only see from here to here.
We're not seeing a long distance.
Maximum.
Sometimes it's just
maximum in those tunnels before you have to take a turn or go up or down or something like that. It's like maybe 20 feet, 25 feet. So
maybe, yeah.
Sunlight, you're going to see as far as you would need to see. The fair warning, the floor disappears from off underneath you a couple of times. Like you have to go over a couple of holes. If you drop into it, you're not dying. It's like just an inconvenient distance down that you're gonna, kind of fall down and then crawl back, and it's a mess down there. But that's part of the fun. It's cool. That's why it is my favorite place to compete ever. Is Meridian, specifically because of like the unique stuff like that in the training.
athletes judging each other like we did at nationals.
Yeah, I'll let you handle that.
So we're doing we at the 24 event at nationals, we had athletes stay the heat after and judge that person that was in their lane. I think we're doing it the heat before. So heat 2 will judge heat 1. So that way we know heat 2 is there and on site and present and in their lane. for heat 1, and then same thing. So heat 3 versus heat 2. That means heat 1, though, guys, you have to come back and judge at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And couple things leading into this. So I know that there's a lot of tactical games competitors that have never competed in another shooting sport, and that's fine. That's great. Like, I think that's one of the things that makes the sport unique.
Yeah.
But do know that, I come from shooting 3-gun and 3-gun on a weekend where the stages are very long stages. Over the entire course of the weekend, which is normally 8 to 10 stages, most times 10 stages. It's 4 one day, 4 and 2. Your maximum shooting time would be like maybe 15 minutes.
Right.
Total, not per event, total. You've shot 15 minutes the entire weekend. For the other 9 hours of that day, you are working. You're resetting for every other shooter. And if you don't, you're kicked out of the match. That's it. Especially if it's Jeremy Moore's match, you get 1 warning. And if you aren't working your ass off the entire time, you're going home. We are not requiring that. We're requiring you to judge for 1 group. It's going to be the group right in front of you. Why are we doing it to where you're going to judge the group right in front of you? It's going to help us a lot, but not because we're not having to get all these. It's not a financial reason. It's not we don't have to find as many volunteers. It's not any of those things. So conspiracy theorists can stop now.
Yeah.
What it is that is going to benefit us the most is you are now going to be very prepared to shoot the stage, because you have watched somebody do it right in front of you. The shooting sequence, the positions they were shooting in, the sequence of the shooting positions, how, the order of operations going through things. You are going to know exactly what you need to do going into that. That's the main reason. The other reason is we are trying to break up the monotony of what we do, right? So one of the things that we hear, it's like, it's not people that compete once or twice a year. It's people that compete like 6 or 7 times a year. It's like, hey, sometimes, going up and down gets old and, whatever. So for us to get creative and for us to put really cool elements into stuff, we need more eyeballs. We need people to count. We need people to do all of these things, right? And in order to do that, we can't find 300 volunteers to come to watch 150, 180, 200 competitors. We have to rely on the competitor base to stand there for 12 minutes and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool, you're done. Let's go to the next thing. So we're not asking you to work. We're not asking you to do any of that stuff. We're just asking you to sit there, count reps, make sure that they're doing things in the right order, make sure that they've yelled clear and held their hands up before they turn around. So it's also an increase in safety that we're doing. But it's mainly to add to the fun. And for anybody that was in Arizona or at the championship,
Right.
And when Jake tested it at the skirmish, I was there. Having other people, like other competitors counting there, a whole lot more people around.
Yeah.
The whole experience was completely, it was badass, right? Like,
it's a huge MVP of having other athletes cheer you on and push you.
Because you got, the next group is judging, then the last group that won is still there. All the people around those people are still there. And you have 60 or 70 people at the stage instead of, 15 or 20.
Right.
And it really had like a cool community. Everybody was cheering for everybody. Feel to it.
Especially nationals, that was where the most people hung out at once just to watch them.
The other thing, go ahead and knock it out. They're not going to count correctly for me because they don't like me and they don't want me to win. Guess what? You're going to be counting for them at one point.
You're gonna burn heat, so eventually you'll be in that spectrum where you're.
So keep that in mind. Heats are going to be burned. Eventually, you're going to be back behind that person. You're going to be their judge, and we're also going to be rotating lanes, right? So if you're in lane 1, the first event, you're going to judge lane 1. If you're in lane 2, the second event, you're going to judge lane 2.
Right.
So you're likely throughout the weekend, you're going to have the same judge maximum of twice.
Right.
Okay. So if there's one person that is especially bad at counting something, you're going to get that experience probably once. what I suggest and what I have done the entire time that I've competed, so since day one, anytime there's been anything that requires me to do a certain number of things, I count out loud, right? Like partners, I saw you looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? Right. I would look at the judge and you would jump over the thing and I'd say 8. I would jump over the thing. I'd look at him and say 9. And like, we have all counted reps doing something at one point or another and just stood there and just been like, oh shit, was that 7 or 8? Right. But both of you are on the same page and it's not a surprise to anybody.
Right.
So I making eye contact, counting out loud. It helps you stay present. It helps you not just like lose your mind. So nobody's going to screw anybody. It's going to be fine. The way that I know that nobody's going to screw anybody is because we still have volunteers. The good part of this is that what is this going to allow us to do eventually? And by eventually, I mean after the first or second match of the year, we're going to be able to bring in fewer but more experienced volunteers.
Right.
Up the ante on what those fewer volunteers are getting in return for volunteering. So they're going to their package is going to be increased. I'll put it that way. They're going to be more experienced volunteers. So instead of having 5 or 6 volunteers on each stage, there might be 2 or 3 volunteers on each stage. Those 2 or 3 are going to be watching everybody, right? So an experienced volunteer can stand there and probably keep score for everybody on the field at the same time because things are moving a lot slower for them. This isn't their first rodeo. They know exactly what to look for, all that stuff. So they're going to be selecting certain people. If we know that one judge is at an issue counting, we're going to hear that complaint. We're going to know who the judge is, and we're going to tell, or the athlete that is judging at the time, we're going to tell those volunteers, hey, keep an eye on this one because we've been hearing, 2 or 3 people have come up and had a complaint, whatever it is. For those people that are come up and complain, I suggest you watch any other sport on the planet. CrossFit's a good one because it kind of like mimics a lot of things that we're doing. Judges miss stuff, no matter who you are. And I think one of the cool things about nationals was hearing the feedback from a lot of really good athletes. Damn, judging, like I was standing there and like for a second I lost count and I had to get back on where I was and this and that. I'm like, yeah, man. So judging's not that easy, right? And all you had to do is click the click.
Every time
it's like, it's not lost on me that you're also the one that complains 900 times, about judges, and you couldn't count to 15. So judging isn't easy. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
it is a sport. We talked about that in the rules podcast. It's part of competition. Count out loud, make eye contact, say the number. You're gonna be just fine. What's next?
Well, let's talk about other things in real sports, PEDs and testing for PEDs.
Nick, we'll let you handle this one.
Yeah, PEDs. What an interesting topic. Definitely something that, as the sport is starting to advance and carry on, George came in because he's really concerned about PED use in the sport. But as we're trying to professionalize the sport, I think it's important that we keep an even playing field across the board, right? So looking out for competitors that might be trying to gain an edge. There's a lot of people that work their butts off every single day to come out and compete, especially in that elite division, not discrediting anybody in the tactical or the intermediate or the masters divisions. But as you get into the higher ends of the sport, there's always going to be that need to gain a quick edge. And PEDs are definitely the area that we see that coming in most commonly. And in a sport that has not been doing testing, to bring in testing, I think is something that's going to definitely even out that playing field and stop that quick hit. The use of PEDs in our sport anyways would seem like it would be a disadvantage after using them for long enough. And maybe people don't quite realize that, you get that quick burst of strength and you're a little bit faster, but there are other areas that are going to suffer. And for the athlete long term, if you're looking for longevity in the sport, that's not really the way to go about it either.
Yeah. And I think that there's other strength in endurance sports where, and I don't know what steroids do to you, but like I don't know what endurance, but what do people use for endurance? Like, is there such thing as endurance steroids?
I'm sure there is. There's like blood doping, and isn't that what Lance Armstrong got knocked for?
Oxygen.
Yeah. Whatever Lance Armstrong did. So,
and there's in CrossFit, you see it with SARMs. There's a lot of issues there too, where there's definitely stuff for endurance athletes as well.
The importance of being mentally there, mentally stable, and being able to stay cool the entire time when accuracy is as important as it is. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like somebody using steroids is not going to be an advantage. It's going to be an advantage. It's also going to be a disadvantage, because the keeping a level head is your emotions, which is something that steroids absolutely affects, is probably the most important thing in the sport, right? Is being able to calm yourself down, get your breathing under control, and shoot rifles and handguns accurately, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other side of that, Jake and I had this conversation, at 4:00 in the morning, driving 20 hours back home, and what we think steroids would be, and I've sat down and done math for longer than I want to admit about what I thought steroids would help you. Yeah, but I came to the conclusion it's probably somewhere between 3 and 5%.
Yeah,
is going to help you.
Yeah. Especially as bad of a detriment as it's going to do to other areas.
Yeah, and
it's not
one of the things that is hard to calculate, right? So if you're willing to take the shortcut on PEDs and a shortcut to fitness, right? There is no shortcut to shooting. So it's not like you can take a pill and be better at shooting. So for 50% of the sport, actually it's more than it's probably right. Shooting still probably 60 to 70% of the sport. 60% to 70% of the sport is unaffected by your PED use, right? And if anything, you could say it's negatively affected. Sure. Because if you're probably using PEDs, you're focusing way too hard on the workout side of things. You're going to bury yourself physically, emotionally. You're probably not going to handle things as well. You're going to be spraying shots everywhere and like breaking your rifle over your knee if you miss. I don't know what people do, but there's that one CrossFitter like told the judge he was going to kill everybody's family. But
I don't know. I freak out in the line and I'm not using PEDs.
Nick, you tell us you don't aim. Okay.
I aim at, I don't know what I'm aiming at, but
so everybody's going to want to know, how are you testing? Who's testing? What are you testing for? All of those things, right? The top 5 at the championship are being tested the following year. What are they being tested for? PEDs. You pop pot, you're banned from the sport forever. There is no coming back. There's no 4-year period. I don't want you in my life. So for as long as I own the tactical games, you pop pot, you're gone. You're never coming back. I don't want to, and the thing is that now there's a couple of other iterations of the sport that are probably going to go over there. I'm not going to, a lot of people don't realize that there's a few people that are not around the sport, and it's been integrity. There's been a couple of competitors and some other people that aren't here anymore, and they're not coming back. And, I don't talk about it very much, but I don't put up with that stuff. So if you're in the top 5 in the elite, you're going to get tested the following year. It may be the second you step off the podium. It may be 2 months later. And let's not fool ourselves, right? Like all 3 of us here are athletes, right? Nick, you're one of the best physical guys in the tactical games. You can't hide from me the fact, if there is somebody that I've been competing with for 2 years that shows up looking significantly different than the last time I saw them, we all have good genetics. Yeah. We all were somebody in college. We all played sports. We all had the friends that did it. we've all seen what happens to our friends that do it, right? Like, I lived on the athlete wing of a dorm room. If you don't think that I've seen steroids, and trust me, uses steroids and golf, so get off my back about it. But my roommate was a football player. All my friends were football and baseball players. I know what steroids do. All right. And I know what you look like when you do them. And I know what happens. If you think that you're going to show up and compete in the sport and just slip by me the fact that you're on steroids, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Get out.
I watch Instagram. The funny thing is like, one of the ways that I've stayed as competitive as I have and been as bad of an athlete as I am is I know everybody's strengths. I know everybody's weaknesses. I know everybody's max up squat numbers. I know everybody because I've seen the videos.
Yeah, because you post it all.
When all of a sudden you have 100 fucking pounds on your back squat in 3 months, like, you're going to be hitting the radar a little bit. So my feelings on it are very strong.
We've talked about it at length. Let's just say that.
So
there's a reason why it's coming out.
My feelings about
For
it
months.
are very strong. And if you're caught, you're gone. And not only are you gone, I don't want to talk to you. That's not the crowd I run with. That's not the crowd I associate myself with. And for as long as I'm owning the sport, you're gone.
And to be fair, I don't think that you're discounting the use. If somebody wants to use steroids, let them do it. If you're using steroids and you're competing against other people on what is supposed to be a level playing field, that's where I take issue with it, right? If you want to do something and you're an adult and you make a decision to do something, that's your choice. If you're going to step out and try to compete next to me, that's when I'm going to take issue. And I think most of the people feel that way.
I at least want to be on the same amount of steroids as you are.
Yeah. Just distribute them evenly.
I'll say this, like, if you're listening to this and you're not a competitor at the tactical games, or you are a competitor at tactical games and you're not in threat of finishing in the top 5 and you do steroids at home, I don't care. Cool. I don't care. Be big and strong and have big muscle. That's fine with me. I'm not judging you. I don't care. Like, that's your life. You do what you want to do. I drink sometimes. Judge me for it. Like, whatever. Like, it's none of your business. It doesn't affect you. There's a few reasons why I feel so strongly about it. And one, there's no sport that is worth taking years off your life. Because I promise you, at the end of your life, when you're sitting there and you're dying from liver failure, you're going to be thinking back about the 3 or 4 years that you competed at the tackle games and ruined your liver. And now you've got grandkids that are going to be robbed of 4 years of it that you potentially could have kept living. Right. You don't think about that stuff now, but you're going to be thinking about that stuff when you're laying in bed, right? Dying because of it. It affects other parts of your life. The emotional turmoil you're going through when you're messing with your hormones and all kinds of stuff.
Takes a toll.
I saw it around the locker room, the weight room. Like, dude, if you want to see what steroids does to somebody, hang around a college weight room during the summertime when everybody's gone, right? And there's like 20 athletes left that are staying over during the summer. It's ridiculous.
It's
raunchy. So all that being said, it's top five female and male elites are being tested. Why is it not the masters being tested? The other thing is,
if you're on TRT and you have a prescription for it and you're within a certain range, that's fine.
I'm going to make this clear. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, that's natural, right? Because you can't produce it naturally. But if you're at 1600 for no apparent reason, that's a problem.
In the process, and I am going to get blown up, and I already know the 3 people are going to call me and talk to me about it. But the process is going to be very level-headed, right? Like, you pop hot, let me call your doctor. We're going to do a 3-way phone call. If you don't want me to talk to your doctor, that's fine. You're banned for life. if you want to hop on a 3-way phone call and me, you, and your doctor have a level-headed discussion about how, he just upped your TRT because this or that and the other, and you hit 1100 and all this stuff, we're going to have a level-headed conversation about it. That's it. Like, I don't care if you're on TRT, that's fine. But the abusive use of steroids will get you banned forever. I don't know what else there could be, but I'll talk to them, and then I'll call somebody else. I'll pay another doctor to tell me what all this stuff means. You know what I mean? And we're going to come up with a discussion. There's an athlete board for a reason. That's going to go to the athlete board. And let me make something clear. The athlete board is there to give me direction so that I get perspective on things. It's my choice at the end of the day, right? But it is what it is. All I can tell you is it's going to be a level-headed discussion, and I'm willing to hear people out. It's not going to be oh my God, I got hit for a trace of something and whatever. It's like, all right, you know what? Like, if there's a trace of something, we'll talk about it. What are you doing? What have you been taking? What are you, doing all this stuff? Cool. I'm going to test you every 2 fucking weeks for the next year and make sure that you're clean and you're good to go. As things formalize, this process is obviously going to formalize. But for now, the basis that we're working with is it is extremely expensive to test, right? Other sports, the MLB, NBA, they can afford to do all this stuff. We can't. It is ruining the athlete experience if I over-test, right? Because then we are robbing you of your experience, the dollars that goes into the experience of the match, to test people to make sure they're not being assholes, right? And I'd like to spend as little amount of money on that as possible. Like I said before, if you're on them, I know you're on them. If you have been on them in the past, I know that you've been on them in the past. Stop. That's what my suggestion would be. It's just as obvious when you're on them as when you get off of them and all of a sudden drop 20 pounds and all the water in your face goes away. So I think that this sport is unique in the fact that I started as an athlete. I know all these guys for now. There's going to be people that come in that I don't know very well, but I've competed with these guys. I know what they're capable of doing. And if all of a sudden somebody that is not capable of doing, if you can't pick up a 100-pound bag 6 months ago, and I watch you put a 250-pound bag over at nationals and get 4th place, homie, you're getting tested. I don't know what to tell you. And I know the training cycles because I basically have given a lot of guys what I do, right? Right after nationals, you take a break. Then you go through a phase where you're going to gain 15 or 20 pounds. You are going to lift as heavy and as often as you can and build as big of a strength base as possible. And then spend the rest of the year neglecting that strength base to start getting your own stuff up and just hope that your strength stays around long enough to get those heavy movements out of the way at nationals. That's what you do. So I know when you're going to be on steroids. Right. So it's going to be real hard to get it passed. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is the threat there? Yes. And I think the threat of it ain't 4 years. It's forever. Yeah. Right. And it's not going to be this thing where it's like, hey, here's a list of the athletes that tested negative next week. Nobody's just here again. Right. Unless you want to make a post bashing me because I hit you for steroids, I'm never going to say anything about it. I think that I've been around and had to make some decisions, in the last year where people realize at this point that I don't talk about things that isn't anybody else's business. And, there's people that have come and gone and I don't say anything about it. That's just the way I do things. It's the most professional way to do things. Sometimes it's not very convenient for me because other things can be said about it. But I think it's the best way to go about it from my position. So that's how PEDs are going to be handled. If you have any more questions on it, I don't have any more answers for you.
Shoot Nick an email.
Yeah.
Send it to info at the tax.
He'll have an answer.
I don't have answers.
All right. Well,
anything about
since we're talking about hot button topics, there's been chatter around different social circles that there has been, and there continues to be events that are programmed in a certain way to facilitate certain athletes. Maybe those athletes have a larger social media following. Maybe those athletes have some kind of background. What's your take on that as a team? How does that, first of all, how does that make you guys feel when you spend all of that damn time working on developing these stages, these matches? And then, beyond that, how does it make the athlete feel? The athlete that's spent years training to get stronger, spent a year training to become a better shooter. Maybe a guy or a girl that's out there working their ass off every single day. And then people just sit back and kind of blindly make accusations like that. Let's talk through that.
Well, so when a weekend gets designed, we lay this out as there's a heavy event each day, then there's a work capacity event each day, and then there's either some type of running event, either long movement, and then this year we're definitely going to implement the sprint. So news to you guys, get ready to fucking sprint. When we lay stuff out,
it's just because I'm really good at sprinting.
Jared's the fastest kid alive.
That's just fuck boy. So
there's only like 3 people I've ever seen.
So
officer
bias towards one athlete or another would be really that athlete must just be good at everything. I mean, I guess that's kind of part of it. Is you can't really pin stuff on, well, this event was programmed this way. Well, there was a lighter event over there. So Thor got to lift a 250-pound bag, but somebody else got to run 7 miles. So it does. I'll just say it does suck getting told that. But on the flip side, we know it goes into a weekend, especially when you have to vet these battles. For those that saw my notebook previous to nationals, all the posts that I made about it, from the progression of what I wrote down of just ideas to what was actually put out on the field, was maybe 40%, 30% the same. Probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's like that is, again, we can go down that road another time, but it is definitely not, it's definitely not biased towards one person, because we lay it out in a format that is equal across the board, across all fitness aspects.
So, there was an event I was a match director at, and one of my friends was competing, and one of my friends won the event. And I was heavily accused of creating the event so that he could win it, right? That guy that won the event is one of the best guys that has ever competed, right? He is 100% the reason why myself and other people have elevated to the levels that we have, was to catch back up to him, right? Every time he beat me because he was better than me, right? The structure of the events back then were a little bit different. That's back when 120-pound bag was heavy, right? And he was definitely better at me than running. Anytime there was like a work capacity event, it was my event. Anytime it was a running heavy event, it was his event. But we went back and forth for a year and a half, just brutally back and forth with each other. We remained friends the whole time. Neither one of us ever accused anybody of programming something so that the other could win, right? I didn't play tactical games back then. The first time I won, nobody knew who I was, because I had never competed before, and I didn't know who any of these people were, right? it's in a weird situation when you have to talk about yourself as an athlete, right? So I'm just going to throw that out there before I start saying this stuff. But in 2019, I was not very liked by a certain part of the tackle games community, right? And the cardio queen was coined, right? And that was my nickname. I was the cardio queen. For the people that compete against me now, that must be fucking hilarious.
It's fucking
I think I finished almost last on both of the runs at Nationals.
I think you got 7% ish on both.
But to be 100% fair, I was much better at running back then. That's before I had my knee problems, and I was a better runner. I still was not a good runner, right? I was, to the standards of now, I was in probably an 83 to 85% runner, right? Like if Kempson's throwing that down his best time, I'm probably 15 to 20% behind him, right? And that's probably generous in some spot. You know, if the run gets longer, I'll probably finish a little bit further behind him. Fast forward 6 months when the 125-pound sandbag was born, and all of a sudden it was the strength athlete, right? And I was the strong strength athlete. I had gotten weaker because I tried running, which caused all my knee problems, right? So in 2019, I was way stronger than I am today, right? Because I did CrossFit all the time. I like lifting heavy, and I don't like running. So back then, I was a lot stronger than I was now. So then that morphed into being the strength athlete. And things were being programmed heavy so that I could win because I was a strength athlete. When 6 months prior, things were being programmed light and running because I wasn't 250 pounds and I was a cardio queen, right? So all of those things to say, all those excuses suck, right? And just like Antone was better than me, and I didn't mean to use his name, but just like he was better than me when he beat me, I was better than those people when I beat them, right? Yeah. And it's not hard for me to say that because I've competed since I was 4. There are people that have been better at me at every single sport that I've played, ever. There are better shooters than me. There are better athletes than me. There are people that are going to be better than me probably as soon as 2 months from now, right? Like, I have no doubt that if I continue to compete through this year, I am not going to win the championship. And just being honest, you know, that's what it is. But I think that it takes somebody that is okay with that, or just has competed long enough to know that you have to keep elevating and you have to make a choice if you're going to be able to keep elevating or not. And I don't think I can keep elevating to the point where it's going to be in a year. Nothing, you know, there's, I heard the rumors, you know, and the, what I can say about that is this: the shooting was easy, right? All weekend. And it wasn't just easy to my standards. There was a lot of comments about the shooting being easy. There's a story kind of behind that where last minute, the ranges that we're going to be able to be used were changed on us. Or I should say changed on Jake. He had to make changes on the fly last minute at the biggest match of the year, and nobody would ever want to be in that situation. And he was, and he made the best that he could of it, even though before I knew that story, I was fucking mad at him.
I remember that conversation. I was sitting with you when that conversation happened, and it was like, Jake, why is the shooting so easy?
But like people, you know, they don't understand that when I'm competing, I'm mad about the same shit you're mad about. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, right, bro, why are we shooting at these targets that are like billboards? You know, like we are on.
Nick is shooting well. This is so easy that Nick's shooting well.
We're on a range that we shot a sniper match at. How are we not shooting over 100 yards?
Exactly, 75 yards. We didn't shoot over 75. But so yeah, let's throw this out there. The shooting is really easy. Who's that going to be easy for? The guys that can't shoot very good, right? There was 2. I mean, this kind of goes, but it's kind of to my point. There was 2 running events where one, there was shooting, but it didn't matter, right? Like I think some people had a 10-second penalty that other people didn't have, but that was on the front side of a 3-mile run with an obstacle course. So that 10 seconds was statistically insignificant, like maybe 0.0.
Right.
Yeah, it's washed out.
Basically, ball that up as a programming mistake, throw it to the side. Because everybody that I talked to before the event, I laughed. I was like, well, this shooting doesn't matter. Like, take your time and get your hits and go running, right? So there's 2 running events where there was no shooting involved, right? So that's going to benefit the runners, right? The targets are big. So that's going to benefit somebody who's not very accurate, right? You're not even going to make an argument with me that it was heavy. It wasn't heavy. I'm not strong. Plot twist. There are females that compete in the females elite division that are stronger than I am. And there's like barbell numbers to prove that.
I know. Kalarina mentioned a speed ladder today for cleans, and then I was just thinking about her beating me in the speed ladder.
I go to the gym. After she posts on Instagram, oftentimes, and the next day or two, I'm in the gym doing the same lift that she's doing. Just I got her by 5 pounds.
He passed out last time.
Yeah. There's a 250-pound bag that made waves. If you go back and sit down and do the math on that 250-pound bag, it was worth about 15 points out of how many events was there? 10
or 12. I don't know. With the aggregates, there was 12. So 10 total events, because there was 3 each day, and the aggregates counted as one event.
Yeah. So 10. Let's
10
just
events.
call it 10,000 points. So 15 out of 1,000 points that became available for you if you got that bag over, right? And let's just
right.
Points out of 1,000, right? We're a 250-pound bag. Then it wasn't lost on me. I was standing there looking at those farmers carries going, damn, that is some man weight on those bars when we were about to carry them. I think it was on the last day.
Yeah, Sunday.
But, I was kind of excited about it because I knew that I had trained with that exact weight, thinking that we are never going to use this weight. So I'm going to train with it because I'm training 15 to 20% above what I think would ever be put on a bar. Then I look at it, I'm like, oh, damn. That
it's here.
That's the weight that I trained with, and I know exactly how that felt when I trained with it. And there's no way I'm going to be able to carry this all the way without resting. So my plan, I was going to carry it halfway, set it down, shake out my forearms, pick it up, carry it again. When we came back to that event, about 20 or 30 pounds per handle had disappeared. Right, I wouldn't have got it. And I'm the strength guy, right? Like, that was going to be really heavy. But one of the guys that people were talking about would have absolutely loved to have not only that weight, but maybe another 50, 60 pounds per hand on there.
Right.
So, to go and say that anybody had any kind of advantage, so get out of here. You got bad excuses. One, there was I could see how somebody could say, the 2-gun stage was there. There's a 2-gun stage last year too. 2-gun stage. I shot 3-gun for 6 years. If I don't smoke people on that stage, like, that's my wheelhouse.
Shooting fast is part of shooting sports, guys.
Right.
It's got to get tested.
There was 2 running stages. Running is not my wheelhouse. I got smoked on the running stages. Shooting fast is my wheelhouse. There was no long range shooting. That's my wheelhouse, right? So and I'm not even the guy that they were saying it was programmed for. I'm just saying.
But that narrative has carried, right? It seems like whenever somebody wins, they're going to blame it on. They're going to blame it on cheating. And I say they. I hate to say they. It's very easy. It's very easy to say this person cheated or this person's not doing, as opposed to say I didn't train hard enough for this or I didn't come prepared to do this. It's very easy to point the finger.
He won because he owns the competition.
Yeah.
Let's get this one out of the way.
That's why you win every time, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and
I get my paycheck.
I've competed twice since I bought the competition, since I bought the tactical game, and I won 7 times before that. So let's get that out of the way. Then the other thing is that owning the tackle games doesn't carry any of the weights for me. The tackle games does not put holes in my targets for me. It doesn't run one step for me. I wish it would run for me. But I don't get to hop on the back of a car and like take a ride. So there's that. The number of followers that you have, let's get this one out of the way. I've beaten people with literally 100-fold more followers than I have in every single competition that I've competed in, right? So if the amount of followers that you have has any bearing on finish, whoever has been in control of programming to make sure that those celebrities win really sucks at the programming, right? So let's get that's out of the way. But I think that just being blunt and honest about it, there's a lot of people that think they're working hard and they have no idea what working hard means.
I'll agree with that.
There's a lot of people that think they're dedicated and they don't know what dedication means.
You can work really hard and not complete any work.
That's exactly right. You can also be working really hard and not knowing what the hell you're doing bad programming and working yourself backwards.
Yeah, you're getting 0% better.
So being
we know a lot of people, and we've seen a lot of people in the sport that will work out constantly and then go to Whataburger every single day and then live that life, right? So there are athletes that we have in the sport now that are tying this together and making it extremely serious, and they're training on regimented programs every day and following strict diet plans, and then they show up to competitions and they smoke people because not only are they training twice a day, they're practicing reloads and dry firing and doing everything that they need to do to get better. And then to have somebody step in from the outside that's a keyboard warrior and say, well, I think they fucking cheated. That's to me just kind of, that irritates me a little bit. I see hard work and I see people working hard, and then to have that just to be discredited in that, it's not right to me.
The most frustrating part about it is obviously I've been the target of it a lot, right? That's fine. I don't get it. I'd rather my target be on my back than somebody else's. But at first it bothered me for sure, because I got a full ride to college playing sports, right? But I've never been the best at something. I've just always been really good at stuff. And coming into something and winning, like I came to the first tackle games, signed up in intermediate, and Dylan Easley basically guilted me into elite, and then I won, right? And Anton was there, except he was in intermediate because he thought the same thing I did. He was like, I don't know these things, so I need to sign up for intermediate. But yeah, he stayed in intermediate. And then how messed up would we have both been if we were both competing against each other in intermediate, thinking that like these elite guys must just be absolute animals. But it sucks. When you work your ass off, there's a lot of hours that you put into being dedicated to it. And I wouldn't take it back. It's not lost, right? Like living a disciplined life is a lifestyle. It doesn't matter what you're doing it, but because it affects every part of your life. If I'm disciplined in working out, I'm disciplined at work, I'm disciplined in my marriage, I'm disciplined with my relationship with my kids. Like all of those things are affected positively. But when you put in all of the work, all of the hours, and you see somebody competing, and somebody back at work told them they're special, but they show up out there, you see the way they're holding the gun, you see them bending over after the first 2 minutes of workout, and then you finish and they're like, this guy cheated. It's like, no, dude, you suck. and like, I guess kind of peeling back the layer, that I try and keep on my opinions about stuff, but that's what I think of you. And also that's what the people around you think of you when you're saying the reason why these people win is because X, Y, or Z, they think you suck too. And they know that this is an excuse. And everyone around you, including your wife, knows that you're using this as an excuse because she knows you better than everybody else. And she saw you drinking 2 nights before you left to go to this competition.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's really easy to pull a practice score and just look at the number of penalties one athlete had versus another and see that the reason why you placed fifth was because you had 1,900 seconds in penalties and this other guy had 600 seconds in penalties.
So anyway, to kind of, I think that any organization that's led by somebody who's not afraid to say things is a strong organization. And from here moving forward, you can keep it to yourself, because if you bring it to me, I'm going to give you my opinion of you. Nothing has ever been programmed for anybody. And I say that, and that's a lie, because we do program for within certain parameters, right? Like when we come up with the heavy events, we're thinking about the strongest athletes, because we're not going to put a 400-pound bag out there because nobody can do it, right? What we're thinking of when we're doing the heavy events isn't even the strong guys. What we're thinking about is the percentage of the field that is going to be able to complete this aspect of the workout.
Correct.
Right.
We never want more than 2 or 3 out of 10 not finishing a workout. And if you're looking at the way that we're programming now, usually that weight that is going to stop those 2 or 3 people is after you've already had the ability to earn an 80% score on that stage. So if you do the rest of the stage really well and you shoot really well, you're going to earn 80% and you're still way into it. I won the championship with 2 scores, maybe 3 under 80%, right? So keep that in mind. If you're one of those people that are going to say that things are programmed so that certain people can win, certain people can do well, there's a reason why there's guys like Tim Szymanski, Hepner, Sal, Justin, Zach, Nate, Austin Hollywood, who else? Kempson. There's a reason why, and Nick's there too. And it's because they are better than everybody else that has shown up.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is that there has been oftentimes podiums where the best one is when Rodman and Sal were there, right? Like Rodman is one of the tallest, strongest athletes that we've ever had.
Yep.
Sal is on the shorter side, and he's strong now, but like 2 years ago when I first competed against Sal, he was not strong. And for 2 years, he's chipped away at it and become a decently strong athlete.
He's still the shortest though.
But both of those guys were on the podium together.
Yeah.
So if you sit there and say we programmed it so and so can win, and the disparity between the 2 athletes who are there, right? Like you can't say we programmed it for one guy or the other to win. And I think that if you go back and you look at any podium in any sport, any competitive physical sport, you would be extremely hard pressed to find an event where somebody who is 5'5" and somebody who is 6'5" are sharing spaces on the podium. So I think that's lost on people a lot.
Yep.
That is a great point.
But anyway, I talked too much on that one. It's just, for me, I've dealt with it for 2 years. The excuses suck. I watched you suck. And that's the reason why you got beat. If you're listening and one of those people, that's what I think of you. But it pisses me off, man.
All right. So next topic that we're going to touch on here today, and I think it'll be our final topic for this episode, will be the ranking system. Let's talk about what we're going to do with our ranking system, how we're going to use it this year, kind of what we're modeling it after, and why it's going to be important.
Go ahead.
So one thing that's going to be good about a ranking system is we can figure out if a match is who shows up to a match, right? If a match is a good quality match, or if there's, like let's just say if Jared or Hepner or if Tim was at a match, that match is I don't know how to describe it. That match is.
It's going to be hard to earn points at a match like
Yeah, correct.
that.
Because those dudes are going to finish very well based on the history that we've seen them perform. So you're going to have to perform very well in order to beat them or place high.
So it's going to be based on a power ranking, right? So each match, you finish with a percentage. So you're earning points in a match, but you also earn a percentage, and that percentage at the end of the match is going to be divided by 3. So we'll start with that first. You divide that by 3. So if you have 100%, you're going to have 33.3 points for that match. You have to shoot 3 matches in not a calendar year, but a 12-month period. Then each of your percentages that have been divided by 3 will be added together. That is going to equal your power ranking, right? So theoretically, if you win 3 matches in a year, you're going to have a power ranking of 100 or 99.9. Then let's say you have a 90 percentile in 3 matches. That means you're going to have a 90% or a 90 power ranking, right? If you are at a match and somebody there has a 95 or higher power ranking, it's a down 0 match. So that means that your final percentage is going to be divided by 3, and then whatever that number is after it's been divided by 3 is going to be your ranking in that match. So let's call it 30%. If nobody there, if nobody there is ranked over 95%, but they are ranked between 90 and 94%, that is going to be a down 3 match. So what that means is that your score after it's been divided by 3, you're also going to subtract 3. So that means one of the big hitters wasn't there, right? So let's say if Sal's at a match, it's going to be a down 0 match because Sal is definitely going to have a 95 or higher power ranking, right? So that'll be a down 0 match because the percentage that you earned it against the best, right? So if you don't have one of those higher power ranking guys in the match and there's someone that's between 90 and 94, you're going to get 3 points taken off of your adjusted score, right? If there's nobody in that range, you go down to, what is it,
85 to 89.
85 to 89 is going to be a down 6 match. So you divide your percentage gets divided by 3, and then you subtract 6. That's the score that you're going to be moving on with, that you can add to 2 other match finish scores.
80 to 84.
80 to 84, down 9, same thing. And then
75 to 79.
75 to 79, down 12. The likelihood of something like that happening is pretty low, right? There's always somebody that's going to have over an 85 power ranking at a match. Maybe not over 90, but especially when the top competitors keep separating themselves further and further at this juncture in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say 90, 94, you're probably going to have one of those guys there. Really what that's for is there's going to be some matches that it's harder to earn points at. This does 2 things. Mathematically, it is worth it to go to a match where somebody who is really good is there.
Mm-hmm.
Because what does the down 3 do for you, right? So if not one of the top 4 or 5 guys in the sport are there, you get a down 3. But what is a down 3 after it's been divided by 3? That's a down 9, right? So if you finish 90%, you have effectively earned 81% if a top guy isn't there, right? And if one of those 90 plus guys isn't there and you're at a -6 match, what does that do now? Now you're actually down 18 from your percentage. So you could theoretically win a match where let's just say nobody that's excellent is there, right? And you're down 18, so that's going to be an 82 percentile is basically what your power rank would be if you did that 3 times. Right. So it promotes the math is in your favor to go to a match if you're interested in having a high power ranking, which is going to benefit you at the end of the year. The math is in your favor to go to a match where the hitters are playing, right? There was kind of a situation starting to be bred where people were trophy hunting, and they were contacting me, Jake, the different people that could see who's going to be at a match, and going to matches that nobody good was at, trying to hit that podium to get their trophy, right? It's also going to be an easy way to keep, theoretically, I don't have to compete against Jake the entire year, but this power ranking is going to give us a pretty good idea of if we were to compete against each other, who's going to win, right? Because of how we're finishing compared to the other people that are finishing with the adjustments, right?
Because this will help for super squads too, whenever we're squatting folks.
And because if Jake hasn't competed against anybody that's any good this year and has been finishing 96, 98% every time, and somebody else has been competing where Tim Szymanski is every time, they may only be finishing at 86%, 88%, but really they might be better than Jake.
Yeah.
Right. Jake wasn't competing when the good people were there, and there's certainly matches that the best people show up to, and there's some matches that they don't. So it adjusts appropriately, and then eventually we're going to get to where your power ranking earns you the ability to sign up for matches before other people. Where your power ranking, you have the opportunity to sign up for the championship before other people do. I don't know if we're ever going to get in the business of kind of what Spartan does, where they have pro teams, because I think that's just dirty. I mean, they're always cussing for that stuff. But I don't think we're going to get into that. But other than that, it also makes it easy if you are one of the best and you don't have a chance to compete a lot. Let's say it's 2 or 3 times a year, or 2 times a year plus the championship. You can earn a power ranking, and then you can go to sponsors and you can still say, yeah, I am ranked 4th in this sport, which is unique in the shooting sports because of how spread out everybody is, the lack of a governing body in some of the sports. There's some people, like I shot 3-gun for a long time. I never shot against some people that are really good just because we live geographically different parts of the country.
Right.
But it gives you a chance to show the sponsors just how good or how bad you are. But then it also gives the sponsors a resource to go look at, to say, oh, this guy called me and he said he does this, 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 and this. And it's one click away from finding out if what you're telling the sponsors true or not. And I think that's a very good resource because that gets abused in other short shooting sports.
Did you cover the championship being a +5?
So the championship's +5. Why is the championship +5? The intensity is higher. The best people are there, obviously. The score is going to be divided by 3. Then you get a +5. You get a +5 on one of 3 of those divisions, right? You have the option. Let's say you win the championship. So you're going to get 33.3, 33.3, 33.3. One of those 33.3s turns into a 38.3. You can still choose to select those other 2 33.3s as your other 2 scores for the year, right? Why? Why are we doing that? Why? It's because Jared won the championship and he wants to be ranked the highest. The reason why we're doing this is because the person who wins the championship will be ranked highest for the next 12 months until the next championship, because they won.
They're unseated.
They won the match.
They won.
That all of the best people were at. Everybody was physically there. And for 12 months, they're going to be ranked the number 1 seeded shooter in the sport, right? If they don't compete in the championship the next year and you get past 12 months and you haven't shot 3 matches, you're plummeting. You can go from 1 to 50 just like that, right? So that's the other side of this, is that we aren't looking at what you did 2 years ago.
Right.
After 12 months, they expire. You gotta go shoot another match now. So there has to be 3 matches shot in the last 12 months. I think that's going to be, the sport needs it. Every sport has a ranking system of some kind, except the shooting sports. Now we have it. So
I think that's perfect.
Other shooting sports have championships, and there's like 1 championship. 3-gun has like every match that has ever been done is a championship. So but I think it's important to have a ranking system. It adds another level of competitiveness. Everybody's going to be shooting to be, in the top, whatever. We're probably going to be implementing some kind of patch system because Nick really likes patches. Yeah. It's where, if you have ascended to a 95 plus level at any time, you earn a certain patch. And, if you've been one, you get this, and we'll do something because that is kind of cool, I think. So
you got to wear it proudly. If I can't get a damn trophy, I'm going to get a patch of some kind that I've got something to prove that I compete in this sport.
From me, I put it on myself.
I'm just going to steal all Jared's. All right. So when can we expect that ranking structure to go live? When are we going to see that?
So putting it on a website is one thing, but I expect to have it finished. We'll hope to have it live before Meridian. It may not be an all-inclusive, but we'll at least have the top 20.
And speaking of Meridian, it looks like there's going to be almost like a national championship recap happening on the men's and women's elite. It's pretty exciting. Some pretty decent field coming out there.
There's a lot of notables that won't be there, but there's also a lot of heat that's going to be there too. So
it's going to be some heat.
Mississippi has always been one of the hardest matches of the year. If you're winning Mississippi that early in the year, you're ahead of the game. I can't think of another match that usually has the amount of really good athletes there as Mississippi does. North Carolina used to be one, and it fell off real hard last year. Not to say, Tim won that.
Tim did good. You did all right, I guess.
Tim, you did good.
You did fine.
But
all right.
Yeah, I can't think of it. I mean, usually Mississippi seemed like Utah last year. There was a bunch of good guys there. I tried to slip in on Utah without anybody noticing, and everybody showed up. But
and that damn CrossFit Hepner showed up.
Yeah, the CrossFit trip guy. Other than that, I think that covers.
Yeah, it covers all my notes.
Yeah.